Okay, in the last video, I split these up just for file size consideration. In the last video, we left off at team authority. Section 7 is reporting guidelines. To whom do we report and how often? If you do it too often, you run a risk of management steering your project, and that may or may not be a good thing. If they begin steering it, they're micromanaging the team essentially, and so we want to check in enough, both that we know we're safe, we're meeting their expectations, but not so much that we spoil the surprises that maybe you want to reveal at the end after all your hard work, or that we go off track. The worst outcome that could happen, really, aside from risk and liability, is that you work very hard for a series of months, present your project, and management says that's not what we were looking for. That's an epic failure, and we don't want that to happen. So we want to define those things. Again, Section 8, this is cost of ownership, as I mentioned before. This is an informal contract between you and the agency. It's not a legally binding contract. It's simply an acknowledgement that we're participating and that we have approval to go. So your chartering agent will sign here. If that's different from your QIC rep or your, another, for example, it might be your executive director signs here. Just depends on how big the project is. And then all of your team members, your signature and your date. If it's necessary to add additional items to this charter, additional documents, for example, this is kind of your index. So you can fill this out and just let people know what the title is and where they can find it. And then finally a notes section if there's anything important to add at the end, or if you want to simply track some relatively kind of shorthand notes, you can do that as well, just to keep the charter going and keep track of what you're doing. So that's the charter. I realize that there's a lot to take in here, so take a bit of time, walk through it, give me brief answers, and just get familiar with it. That's the assignment.